We hunger for real psychology because the greatest threat to our lives isn't out there, it's in us. Pause for a moment. What if you're not who you think you are? What if your most persistent thoughts, the choices you proudly claim, even those authentic desires weren't born from you at all? Imagine a hidden force, quiet, deep, shadowy, that's been steering your life since birth without your knowing. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's psychology. And to grasp what really moves you, there's one name you must remember: Carl Gustav Jung. Are you weary of the same self-sabotaging patterns? The way you repeatedly undermine relationships, the sense that something invisible keeps dragging you down even when everything seems to be going smoothly. That underlying power might just be your shadow, the hidden side of yourself you've never learned to see. Let's dive in. Maybe it's the pull of archetypes, or the collective unconscious clamoring for recognition. But why does any of this matter to you? Ignoring these hidden dimensions of your psyche is like stumbling through a minefield blindfolded. Inevitably, you'll get hurt. You'll replay the same self-defeating patterns. You'll suffer and chalk it all up to bad luck or fate. Carl Gustav Jung wasn't just a psychologist. He was a cartographer of the human soul. He mapped the secret corridors of the mind that few dared to explore. What he uncovered can upend everything you thought you knew about yourself. This video isn't a life story or a bullet point summary. It's a mirror. I'm about to show you the truths you've been avoiding for years. But a word of caution: once Jung's ideas take hold, there's no going back. You'll start noticing shadows you never saw before. You'll identify the monsters lurking within your own psyche. And for the first time, you may realize that your greatest adversary isn't out there. It lives inside you. Here's the good news: that same hidden force can become your most powerful ally. But only if you have the courage to face it. So take a deep breath, quiet your mind, and prepare yourself. This is, without exaggeration, the essential guide to Jung you need to see. And after you do, you'll never look at yourself in the same way again. Carl Jung was not an ordinary psychologist. He was the pioneer who proved that the path to freedom runs through the depths of your own soul. He wasn't content simply fixing symptoms or molding people to fit a broken world. Jung's mission was far bolder. He set out to map the terrain of the human soul itself. Peering into the psyche's abyss, he dove where few dared, and what he discovered changed psychology forever. Born in Switzerland in 1875, Jung grew up steeped in religious symbols, ancient rituals, and a hush of mystery. Early on, he intuited that human experience held layers no mere words or logic could capture. It's no surprise he became Freud's star pupil, yet he was destined to challenge his mentor. Where Freud saw repressed sexual drives as the mind's central force, Jung recognized something vaster, depths shaped by collective history. Freud examined recent personal traumas. Jung traced currents running back millennia to our shared roots in myth and symbol. That fundamental disagreement made their split inevitable. Jung's aim wasn't just to ease mental illness. It was to rekindle humanity's lost bond with its own essence. He viewed the psyche as a living, dynamic web of opposites, light and shadow, reason and feeling, masculine and feminine, and he believed suffering wasn't a flaw, but a summons to growth. From this vision, he forged analytical psychology, not a therapy for erasing the bad parts of you, but a journey to understand and integrate every rejected, hidden piece of your being, bringing what's unconscious into the light of consciousness, where true transformation can begin. Because for Jung, the real adversary wasn't life's pain, it was unconsciousness. And why does this still matter? Because our world remains deeply unwell. We're stuck in self-destructive loops, numbing our emptiness, running from discomfort. Jung not only foresaw this epidemic of disconnection, but handed us a map back to ourselves. No quick fixes, no hollow promises, but a raw, uncompromising mirror. The truth about who you really are. One of Jung's most unsettling discoveries is that a part of your mind isn't just yours, it's shared by all humanity. Beyond your personal experiences, memories, and cultural imprint lies a vast, hidden ocean of images and forces that shape every human life, whether we know it or not. He called this the collective unconscious. Picture your psyche as an island, formed by your unique history, childhood memories, personal traumas, cultural stories. But beneath that island lies a deep, dark sea, common to every human being. In that ocean swim primordial archetypes, ancient symbols and mythic patterns older than any individual. They pulse through our dreams, our fantasies, the religions we follow, the films that move us, the myths that endure across epochs. This isn't mere poetic fancy, it's a psychic reality that Jung saw in his patients and in cultures worldwide. In the next part, we'll dive into this mysterious collective realm and uncover how these universal images live inside you, shaping how you think, love, and suffer, even when you insist your inner world is uniquely your own. Every culture, across every age, has spun strikingly similar tales: heroes' quests, wise sages, monstrous trials, journeys of death and rebirth. These aren't mere inventions. They're echoes of the soul's architecture. Jung taught that beneath every choice and emotion lies an archetypal pattern. When you tremble at the thought of being abandoned, you're brushing up against an ancestral archetype. When you crave belonging, purpose, or the strength to transcend yourself, you're being guided by forces as old as humanity itself. Ignoring this collective unconscious is like denying gravity. You can pretend it's not there, but it will still shape your life. These unseen currents surface in your relationships, your repeated mistakes, your sudden passions, and your inexplicable fears, until you grasp that you're wrestling not just with your personal history, but with the shared ghosts of us all. Jung gave these currents a name: archetypes, universal blueprints woven into every human heart, directing thought, feeling, and behavior. Yet of all these deep patterns, one stands apart in its power and in its peril: the shadow. This is the aspect of your personality you shun, the dark companion lurking just out of sight, quietly pulling the strings of your life. And until you turn and look at it, it will keep steering you. In the next part, we'll dive into that shadow, why it scares us, how it controls us, and what happens when we finally bring it into the light. If this resonates, hit subscribe and join us on this journey. Tell me, have you ever acted out in anger or later thought, "I didn't even know why I did that"? You might have just met your shadow. Have you ever felt a flash of envy, a surge of jealousy, a burst of anger, or a swell of pride, and then shoved it down or rationalized it away? If so, you've already encountered your shadow. You just didn't look it squarely in the eye. Jung taught that everyone harbors a dark side, the parts you reject, repress, or deny, your most shameful impulses, your unacceptable desires, your vulnerabilities and cruelties, your vanity, your neediness, your fury. This shadow grew from all you stifled to fit in. The child you pruned, the teenager you silenced, the adult who learned to smile while breaking inside. And here's the brutal truth. Whatever you refuse to face in your shadow takes charge of your life from the shadows. It hides behind your judgments of others, It bursts out as inexplicable rage. It cages you with paralyzing shame. It whispers, "You're not good enough." It trips you up at pivotal moments, sabotaging love, opportunity, and success. The more convinced you are of your own goodness, the more powerful that hidden force becomes, because you never recognize its carvings in your own heart. Instead, you project that darkness outward, seeing evil only in others. Jung warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So long as you pretend your shadow doesn't exist, you remain its puppet, repeating destructive cycles, choosing people who wound you, and fleeing the very love, freedom, and success you crave, believing yourself undeserving. The journey forward begins with one courageous act. Turn toward the shadow, acknowledge its presence within you, and invite its energy into the light of your awareness. Only then does its grip loosen and true freedom begin. There is a path forward, a way to meet your inner darkness, not as an enemy to be banished, but as a hidden ally to be integrated. Your shadow isn't pure destruction. It's raw energy waiting to be redirected into creativity, courage, and authenticity. But this journey demands courage. You must step into territory you've long avoided, where the parts of yourself you exiled, suffocated, or simply forgot still reside. Only by facing these buried aspects does genuine self-knowledge begin. Jung gave this entire adventure a name: individuation. It's not a weekend workshop or a feel-good mantra. It's a rigorous, often painful, and profoundly rewarding process of becoming whole. Until you stop living in fragmented halves, your public persona on display, your private self hidden away, you'll remain locked in inner conflict. Most people devote their lives to fitting in, pleasing parents, meeting society's standards, conforming to cultural norms. They sculpt themselves into masks, distorting their true shape, numbing their innermost needs, just to avoid the terror of asking, "Who am I, really?" That avoidance creates a gnawing emptiness, a sense that something vital is missing. Jung knew this void well. He called it the absence of individuation. Individuation isn't about living your best life or manifesting abundance. It's about tearing down your masks, the persona, confronting your shadow, and reconciling your inner opposites, reason with emotion, light with dark, masculine with feminine. It means allowing the ego to collapse so your authentic self can emerge. It's the death of illusion and the birth of a life lived fully and truly on your own terms. This work demands that you face the parts of yourself you've been denying for decades. You'll discover you're neither as saintly as you pretend, nor as monstrous as you fear. You are light and shadow, strength and fragility, courage and fear, all woven together. Here's what no one tells you. This process stings. You must tear down the lies that once kept you safe, stop pointing fingers at others, and claim full responsibility for your life. You can't keep living for others' approval. You must start living to become whole. Individuation doesn't arrive in a single revelation. It unfolds through your crises, losses, and ruptures. Each time you release a worn-out belief, a toxic bond, or a false identity, you shed an old skin, and something truer springs up in its place. But none of this happens without leaning into discomfort, doubt, and chaos. As Jung warned, the encounter with the self is by nature a defeat for the ego. Most shy away. They'd rather remain comfortably ignorant. Yet those who dare to step into their darkness discover the priceless gift of freedom. By integrating your rejected parts, by facing your shadow and heeding your soul, You become who you were always meant to be, but never had the courage to claim. Your soul is constantly speaking, not in words, but in symbols, images, and stories. It whispers through your dreams. The next step is to learn this symbolic language of the psyche. While our culture dismisses dreams as random mental chatter, Jung saw them as the unconscious's most direct line of communication, encoded messages designed to restore your inner balance. When your waking life pulls you away from your essence, your dreams send scenes and symbols, archetypes and metaphors to gently pull you back toward your center. In the next part, we'll explore how to decode those nightly messages, how to listen to your dreams and use their wisdom as a roadmap for inner transformation. If you're ready to dive into this mysterious territory, continue with me and discover the hidden guidance your own psyche has been offering all along. Dreams aren't just a replay of your day. They're signals, guidance, invitations, warnings, even alarms. Why do you dream of falling when your life is spiraling out of control? Why do your teeth crumble away when you feel powerless? Why does the same symbol keep surfacing night after night? This isn't coincidence, it's your soul trying to speak. But the soul doesn't use logic, it speaks in symbols. Jung's breakthrough was to show how archetypal images, lions, snakes, houses, forests, mirrors, doors, tunnels, mothers, shadows, are never random. They're fragments of your psyche striving to emerge. Each carries its own energy and purpose. A house might be your inner self, a snake, the call to transformation, a ladder, the choice between spiritual ascent or unconscious descent, a mirror, the shadow you refuse to face. Learning this symbolic tongue is like mastering an ancient language, the language of you. Jung warned, the more you ignore your dreams, the more you drift from your center. You lose direction, spiral into anxiety or depression, and feel utterly lost. Dreams are your internal compass. Turning away from them is like closing your eyes in a labyrinth. Do you want to know your true self? Do you wonder why you repeat the same patterns, feel stuck, or gravitate toward the same pain or people? Then write down your dreams, reflect on their symbols, face their messages. They hold answers your conscious mind can't yet grasp. Yet dreams aren't the only vessel for meaning. Deeper still lie archetypes, invisible psychic figures that cast, direct, and rehearse your life's drama. They aren't lessons you picked up, they're ancestral blueprints, as old as humanity. In the next part, we'll unveil who these archetypes are and how they shape your feelings, choices, and relationships, even when you're sure you're free. Ever catch yourself behaving out of character? Attracting the same kind of heartbreak or repeating mistakes you can't trace? That's your archetypal cast taking the stage. Get ready to meet them and reclaim your script. These archetypes dwell in the collective unconscious, acting like invisible templates that quietly shape your emotions, your behaviors, and the stories you live out each day. Worse yet, you can spend your whole life under an archetype's sway and never realize it. Jung sketched out several key figures. The hero, that inner driver pushing you to conquer obstacles, to dare for greatness, often at great personal cost. The wise old one, the part of you that seeks clarity, truth, and perspective. The shadow, all the traits you've denied or hidden, waiting to erupt. Anima animus, the feminine side of men and the masculine side of women, energies that only free you when they're brought into balance. These aren't abstract concepts, they're living forces. When an archetype dominates, it possesses you, seizing the wheel of your awareness and steering your life without your consent. That's why you sometimes feel out of character or find yourself in relationships that play out like a cliched script. If you're always rushing to rescue others, neglecting your own needs, you might be driven by the hero. If you constantly crave reassurance and dread any hint of rejection, you could be living in the wounded child pattern. If chaos and self-sabotage seem to follow you, you're dancing with an unintegrated shadow. Archetypes themselves aren't villains. Unrecognized, they enslave you, but once acknowledged, they become your greatest allies, portals to untapped strength. The moment you start naming these internal voices, these symbolic rhythms, these mythic energies in your life, you stop playing a part and become the true author of your story. This insight has never been more urgent. We live swamped in distractions, external demands, and the endless noise of modern life, all of it whispering, "Look outward, ignore yourself." The result: a pervasive emptiness, a breakdown of meaning, a spiritual crisis misread as mere stress or anxiety. In the final segment, we'll explore why Jung's teachings are more vital now than ever, and how they can guide you through the psychological chaos of our age, offering a path back to your own center and a way to live with real purpose. We live in an era overflowing with data, yet we've never felt more unmoored. Everything we want is just a click away: news, opinions, distractions, but we drift through our days feeling fragmented and worn out. The promise of modern life was freedom. Instead, it handed us restless minds. It offered endless connection, only to trap us in shallow comparisons and highlight reels. Beneath all that noise, a quiet question haunts countless hearts. Who am I, really? This is where Jung's work shines more brightly than ever. He never peddled quick fixes, no magic pills for happiness, no pep talks for guaranteed success. What he provided was far deeper: a route back to your own soul, a way to gather up the pieces of yourself that society pressured you to hide. Your true needs, your buried feelings, your neglected instincts. Jung foresaw the identity crisis of the information age long ago. He warned that if we build our lives around the persona, the polished mask we present to win approval, and ignore our shadow, we become captives to inner forces we refuse to acknowledge. His analytical psychology offers a map for reintegration, a process of reclaiming every part of yourself so you can walk through life with clarity, balance, and genuine presence. In a world where performance and appearance reign, Jung's genius lies in reminding us that real freedom comes not from more noise, but from listening to the voice within, our own path back to wholeness. By spurning your dreams, you sever the bridge to your unconscious. By dismissing symbols and archetypes as woo-woo, you throw away the very map that leads you back to yourself. Jung penned these warnings decades ago, yet today they feel eerily precise. Consider achievement, fatigue. You've amassed accolades, but the ache inside only deepens. Disposable relationships, bonds form and fracture faster than ever, leaving you lonelier in a crowd. Early existential collapse, 20-somethings suffocated by life's weight, battling anxiety and depression that pills alone can't resolve. Modernity sold us the fantasy of living purely on the surface, where status, success, and control suffice. But the soul rebels against that shallowness. When it cries out, it doesn't beg for more likes. It demands meaning, depth, integration. Jung wasn't a coach for calm times. He was a guide for collapse. Exactly the era we inhabit now. Because when external trappings lose their luster, you must turn inward. That descent is terrifying. You'll encounter not just light but monsters, repressed traumas, hollow masks, truths that sting. Yet in that same darkness, you'll discover something no one else can bestow: your true self. There are no motivational catchphrases or quick fixes waiting at the end of this journey, only the raw work of inner transformation. But here's the promise: when you dare to face your fragmentation, to tear away illusions, to reclaim your soul, hope returns. You'll see that your pain has purpose, You're not broken, just scattered, and you can piece yourself back together. What does that look like in practice? How do you shift from concept to real change? In our final chapter, we'll deliver a stark truth and reveal why this video could mark the turning point your soul has been craving. You've spent years contorting yourself to fit in, masking your fracture with forced smiles while your insides screamed for help. Somewhere along the way, you forgot who you are. It's time to remember. You've lost sight of your essence, your mystery, your wild creativity, the very core of your soul. Yet something within you is stirring, and it's no accident you've arrived here. Jung was adamant that nothing is random. Even a chance encounter is the unconscious offering a message. Perhaps this video has been that message, a summons to stop running, to stop lying to yourself, to abandon the shallow surface and plunge into the depths of your psyche. What Jung offers isn't a comforting platitude, it's a demand for courage, for facing pain, for claiming responsibility. Yet in that same fierce confrontation lies your freedom. Once you grasp that you're not broken, merely unconscious, you unlock real power, the power to transform, integrate, and heal. You don't have to decode every dream tonight or map every archetype tomorrow. What matters is taking the first step, the step of brutal honesty. Declare, enough. Enough of living on autopilot. Enough of denying your pain. Enough of being trapped by a half-formed image of yourself. From this moment, everything shifts, because what has been brought into the light can no longer hide. I have an invitation for you. If this video awakens something inside, comment below. Which idea shook you the most? Which part of your shadow do you sense you must face, but still avoid? Even naming it aloud is a beacon to the unconscious, and the first spark of true liberation. If you felt the pull of these truths, don't stop here. The next video awaits. It may be as crucial, perhaps even more so. Your soul, once stirred, will hunger for more. So click on the next video and continue this inner voyage. You're only at the threshold of what could become the greatest transformation of your life. See you there.